This is Jack Stanley. And you know, I, like everybody else in the world, am looking at this dreadful event in Las Vegas. The total killed, as far as I know at the moment, is 59. There is over 400, close to 500 people injured. And I know as soon as this has happened, and it's hard to even take this in, because you know something. It's a little bit of a frightening thing about us is the fact that we have been experiencing these things for years. Not on a scale like we just saw in Las Vegas. But how do we control the use of firearms in this country? It's a big issue and a big problem. It's nowhere near as simple as many people think. Some people say, well, just ban guns. Yeah, you can't just do that. You can't turn in your guns. No one's going to do that. You can ban certain type of weapons, but that doesn't mean they're not available on the black market. You can have the most stringent, strong, powerful gun laws like Chicago. And ladies and gentlemen, as you well know, the worst crime with guns is in Chicago. So what do? It's a major problem and a difficult part of this government. One has to go back to our Bill of Rights. What are the first 4 words of the Second Amendment? You know, I hear this a lot by gun activists and people who are against guns. They're battling over the second. But what does that amendment say? Many people have no idea what it says. And you know something? I'm going to focus on the first 4 words. That's it. And the first 4 words of the Second Amendment is this: a well-regulated militia. Now let's just dissect this a little bit. What does a well-regulated militia mean? Well, it means controlled. Well-controlled militia. Now, who is the militia? Well, in the eyes of the framers, it was the population of the country. We are the militia. Therefore, the militia needs to be well regulated. I must confess that in many aspects of things it has not been. In fact, we've made a travesty of the Second Amendment on both sides of the issue. Because, yes, you got to remember that when the Constitution and when the Bill of Rights was completed, what was a firearm? It was a flintlock rifle or pistol, and that meant that you had to load your gun, put in the powder, make sure you had the fuse all set, aim it, fire, it would go click, bang, bang. I mean, it was not a quick thing. That was it. That was the only thing available at the time. They had no conception of the devices that would come in the future. I mean, a whole field full of people with flintlock guns would be gone in 5 minutes with the weapons we have today against them. So, how do we regulate this militia? It isn't easy. In fact, it's near impossible to get it regulated at this point. Because you have various groups who have an awful lot of ammunition, and they're not giving it up. They have no intention in hell of giving up their guns or their ammunition. There are those that are totally against guns, who feel they should be gone. Good luck. It's an ugly situation. But here's the thing. What this government needs to do is very simply regulate the system better. And what are some of the best ways to do it? First off, make it a little bit more difficult to get a gun. I want it more difficult to get a gun than it is to get a driver's license. You should have a psychological exam. You should fill out a test to understand how to use a gun. This should all be part of a well-regulated system. Right now it is not. And so we had this horror in Las Vegas. It had nothing to do with our laws. We have to understand that there are going to be crackpots. And the weapons that he had were not the ones that could be legally bought. A lot of the stuff there was well beyond that. You have to remember there's a black market and you can get anything you want. Once again, look at Chicago. The strongest gun control laws around. And they have the most gun violence. So what we have to do is totally revamp the system. Make penalties for people caught in the black market with guns extremely severe. That's what you need to do. Guns that are used that are not registered, and if you use them, make the penalty severe. No getting out for good behavior. No. You have to start regulating. You have to start controlling. Because if we do not regulate well, this is just a precursor of what is going to become the norm in the future. It's a very frightening scenario, scary to think of, but we have to go back to the founding document and read what it says. And it doesn't say everybody has a right to have a gun. That's not what the Second Amendment says at all. It said a well-regulated militia. Think about it. My ideas might not be correct, but we need new ideas to work with that Second Amendment. Because we have to face facts. You are not going to rid this country of guns ever. It's an impossibility. So therefore, you have to regulate things well. And regulation means that if someone breaks the law dealing with those regulations, they have to pay the penalty. Enough said. Thank you.